Hi, Mr. Duchamp. I'm a senior at Lamar University, majoring in corporate communication, and I'm very interested in pursuing a career in the property insurance field. I was made aware that this is the same degree that you also hold, and that you are a very successful insurance claims adjuster for Farmers Insurance. I'd like to interview you today to find out what a day in the life of your career is like and what I can look forward to expecting in your career field. Can you begin by giving me a brief description of your job and its purpose?
My job as a property claims adjuster is to determine coverage based on our policies with our customers. And once coverage is determined, we perform an inspection of the damage and prepare estimates. And if it is a covered claim, we'll prepare an estimate and provide a settlement to our customers. And if it's not covered under their policy, then we have to explain, why it's not covered and prepare, explain to them why the claim was denied.
Okay. The central part of your daily job regimen begins when you receive a claim, correct?
Yes.
And when do you receive claims?
I receive claims throughout the day. They could be, I get notified on my cell phone when I receive a claim through a text. If I'm handling a claim at that time, I can't get to it right away. But as soon as I get a chance, I'll look into our system and look in our software and see what the claim is and who the insured is, and read the facts about the claim itself.
Okay. What types of claims do you receive?
They cover a wide range of events, anything basically that can happen to your property. So basically your home or the contents located inside your home. But that could be anything from windstorm, hurricane, hail, lightning, fire, theft, vandalism, kind of a little bit of everything.
Okay. What issues can occur when you receive a claim?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
Do you ever have any problems with a claim that you receive?
Well, all sorts of problems come up. When receiving the claim, sometimes we aren't notified, even though we are supposed to be, notified through text about receiving the claim. It doesn't always happen. So sometimes we do get an irate customer maybe calling us wondering why they haven't been contacted yet. And we just explain to them, hey, we sorry about that, and we'll. It's usually having to do with us already being out in the field, and that's why we don't have all of our equipment with us.
Okay. So you've received a claim. What's the first thing you do?
The first thing I do when I receive a claim is I look up all the information for our customer as regarding what kind of policy they have, what their deductible is, any endorsements that would provide or take away coverage on their policy, and I'll write all that down on a piece of notebook paper, and then I'll get their contact information and make sure I have their correct address, and then I'll contact the insured and ask them, identify who I am, and ask them what happened and what the events are surrounding the loss, just to try to get a better idea of how big of a claim it is.
Okay. And can you explain the process of scheduling the inspection?
Scheduling the inspections are done, by myself, pertaining to my availability through the week, and then try to also coordinate with the insured's time frame as well, and then we try to work out the best time to meet together. It is a Monday through Friday job, during normal business hours. So, a lot of times the insureds have to schedule to be off of work to meet me during the day.
Okay. And what physical preparation is required for an average inspection?
As far as physical preparation, it's basically just making sure you have. So if we're saying we're going to go out to inspect a claim, knowing what kind of claim it is, but I carry all my tools with me. But just making sure that all your safety equipment's in working order, as far as like a ladder if it's a roof inspection. If you're going to be having to crawl underneath a mobile home, you might want to make sure you have, your flashlight, and depending on how muddy it is, and the weather, just making sure you have the appropriate, outdoor, clothing, readiness.
Okay, and are the insured customers always home when you go for the inspection?
Yes, typically they are always home. We don't inspect property without them being present or without their consent to go and inspect. A typical inspection without them being there would be if they only have like exterior damage and there's no need to get into the house. Maybe they just think they have some damage to the roof and they want us to go look at it, and they'll let us know from the beginning they don't need to be there for that.
Okay, now you're about to begin your inspection. Can you give us a very brief explanation of the steps for inspection process, say for a water claim?
Well, really, it varies from claim to claim. There's not a set guideline that I follow, but it's just, the first thing we have to do is, let's say a water claim, is determine what the cause of loss is. Because with insurance policies, that could be the difference between a covered claim or a claim that's not covered. So, like I said, we need to determine the point of origin. Sometimes, if it's an obvious point of origin, then it just might be a matter of looking at it, but sometimes we have to rely on experts like plumbers to help us determine that cause of loss. And we try to get all that done before we get out there so that we're not holding up the claim process, waiting on someone else to come out there and look at the source of the cause.
Okay. Now you've left the inspection site. Do you always head straight back to your home office to begin work on the claim?
Not always. Typically, what I try to do in an ideal situation is, close out that claim while I'm on site. So whether that's putting together an estimate for the damages and, giving our insureds a claim settlement payment, or, if the claim turns out to not be covered, explaining to them, why the claim is not covered, and then putting together the letter explaining why it's not covered, and then typically I head to the next inspection.
Okay, and what are your final steps in closing a claim?
Depending on whether the claim is covered or not covered, it would either involve either preparing an estimate for damages, and if a claim was determined not to be covered, it would be preparing a letter, stating why the claim is not covered, and putting in the pertinent policy information as to why it's not covered under their policy.
Okay, and on average, how many claims do you handle per day and per week?
Typically, we try to, the minimum that we try to handle a day is 2. So I would say, 10. The minimum is maybe 10 claims a week, but depending on volume, sometimes it's more than that. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 claims a day, just depending on storm season, or the amount of claims coming in. But the minimum is at least 2 a day.
Okay, and you're required to handle lots of driving, multiple claims at once, and scheduling of inspections. How important is it in your job to be an effective multitasker?
It's very important to be an effective multitasker, and you also have to have excellent time management skills, because you will, as much drive time as you do have with this job, there's constant stuff coming in while you're on the road, which you can't address right away. So you have to learn how to manage your time skills and prioritize what needs to be done. But if you couldn't multitask at this, I don't think you would be very effective.
Okay. And is there anything else or other detailed information about your career field that you'd like to tell me about or educate me on that I haven't covered?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for spending your time with me today and answering all of my questions. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.